So I've been trying to keep these X-Men episodes themed around the goings-on of the animated series revival, and originally I was fully planning to go into the history of mutant nations with an emphasis on Genosha, but if I'm being honest, one of the latest episodes hit harder than I was expecting, and between recent real-world events, and much less significantly compared to real-world genocides going on, just in case it needed to be said, a growing frustration with the revealed upcoming plans for the post-Krakoa era in comics, I really don't feel comfortable basing an episode of what's at least attempting to be a comedy series around the concept of the mutants constantly trying and failing to establish a safe society for themselves. Sorry to be a bummer, maybe this is a side effect of being or at least feeling terminally online, but Genosha just seemed like such an obvious topic that I thought I needed to go out of my way to explain why I'm not covering it at the moment. Anyways, getting back to regularly scheduled programming, I'd like to thank Kami-sama no Otaku for providing a suggestion while I was trying to organize a new idea. Specifically focusing on earlier members of the team that don't get a lot of attention. So with that in mind, let's talk about Morph. Now at first glance, Morph seems like an original character, and funny enough, one introduced right on the heels of Harley Quinn, a character explicitly created by and for Batman the Animated Series, but Morph is actually based on Kevin Sidney, aka Changeling. Apparently they were given the name Morph to avoid confusion with DC's Changeling, who most probably know better as Beast Boy, which feels kind of unnecessary, but hey, not my superhero show. A shapeshifter, Changeling was recruited by the self-proclaimed Mutant Master to form the criminal organization Factor 3, with the ultimate goal of kickstarting a nuclear war between the US and Russia, only for everyone to turn on the Mutant Master once it was revealed that he was actually an alien, seeking to wipe out mutants and regular humans alike so he could conquer the planet for himself. Not long after that, Changeling came to Professor X with a grim prognosis. He was dying of cancer, and wanted to do something good with the time he had left. And since he came to Professor X, something good ended up being pretending to be Xavier himself and deceiving the X-Men, while the real Xavier went underground to prep for another alien invasion. It was in the guise of Professor X that Changeling ultimately died, with most of the X-Men mourning the loss of what they thought was their beloved professor until the ruse was finally made known. Changeling has pretty much stayed dead since then, with his most notable appearances since coming from alternate universe versions of himself. The most notable is probably Morph of the Exiles, a rotating roster of alternate versions of familiar characters who defend the multiverse. Although 616 Changeling was resurrected as a zombie by Black Talon as part of an undead mutant group known as Exhumed. He sent them after She-Hulk, but they all returned to being dead soon enough. I've also seen it mentioned that apparently he was brought back by Krakoa, but it sounds like it was just a background appearance at best, and I haven't been able to substantiate it. And honestly, with the X-Men's feared and hated status quo crashing back down on them, even if he is back, who knows for how long. Next week, I'm gonna find another random X-Men to talk about.